doing this video to show you how to change your drive belt. Your drive belt might be called a serpentine belt, like this one is, a multi-groove V-belt, what some people call them. And a lot of people are just calling them your fan belts. So unfortunately, with all those names thrown around, the one common one is the drive belt. What does the drive belt do? Well, it usually drives your alternator. Just about every vehicle has an alternator nowadays, which is going to be used to charge your battery. This vehicle has a power steering pump pulley down here, which creates hydraulic pressure for the power steering system. It has a fan that's going to pull air or push air, depending on the system, through the radiator. Drives the water pump for circulating coolant throughout your engine. And also, there's a separate belt on this particular truck that you can probably see way back there. There's a second belt that drives the air conditioning compressor, just to name a few things that your belt's going to drive. To take off and replace the belt, I'm just going to do the outside belt today. This one right here. If I wanted to change that inside belt down there, I'd have to actually take the outside belt off first. Both belts go around the engine's crankshaft pulley, which is the big one down right where my finger is there. Okay, so when the crankshaft on the engine turns, it's going to turn your drive belts to turn all of these accessories. To change them, we would usually use these drive belt tools. I have an assortment of them here. They're very low profile, very skinny, with a whole bunch of different ends on them. This Chevy truck, or this GMC truck, forbid me for saying that, has 15 millimeter wrenches needed. And I could use these fancy tools that I have here, but what I'm gonna do is just use a 15 millimeter wrench, just to show you how you can do this at home in your driveway, or you know, you might have to use a crescent wrench or whatever. Before you start, you should make sure that your vehicle has this sticker, okay? This sticker is going to show you the drive belt routings for the different engines. And the one I'd be using today is right here. It says for V8 engines. This is actually my drive belt routing. Okay, it's showing the air conditioning compressor as an option, and it's a separate belt, so that's mine. What I did though was I went to ProDemand, which is our service manual, but you can get these pictures off of the internet very, very easily, and printed this off, because if I take the belt off and I don't know how to get it back on or which route I'm going to take, I could be turning pulleys the wrong way or just not getting the belt tight or whatever. So I'm going to throw the phone into this tripod that I have here, give you a view while I do some work. And the first thing I need to do is I need to locate the tensioner. So the tensioner is usually spring loaded on these drive belts nowadays. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pull on the belts, and you're going to see the tensioner over here moving. It's a spring loaded tensioner. So that's what I'm going to use this 15 millimeter wrench for, is I'm going to use it to take the tension off the belt. And then when the tension's off the belt, I'm going to remove the belt from one of the pulleys. You want to watch your fingers when you're releasing the spring tension. This one's not very strong or very tough, but some of them are the springs are really, really strong on them. And when you go back after removing the belt, the wrench is going to go back farther than what it did before. So what I'm going to do is I have the luxury of just moving this hose out of the way to get my wrench out of there. Sorry as I drop all the lights and everything, but it's a thing. And then as after I have the tension relieved off the belt, I can then just remove the belt. So this is the time that, hey, if I didn't take a picture or I don't know how to put it back on, I should stop, okay? Take a picture of it with my phone, find that drive belt routing picture off the internet, or find the sticker on the vehicle. But since I already have the article off the internet, I'm just gonna remove the belt. Get it all, it's all routed in here, around pulleys, under stuff, through stuff, okay? And that one's off. It's very, very simple to do. Let's see if I can get a light up here so you can get a good look at this belt. So this belt is just on one of our training vehicles. You can see it's got a little bit of tattered edges, probably from students taking it on and off. I don't think this has been replaced since we've had the truck here, so you'll see there's some light cracking and things like that in it. So what I'm looking for when I'm looking at a belt is presence of metal inside the grooves, because that could be an indication of that belt slipping and removing metal from its pulleys. I'm also looking for deep cracks. I don't know if I can get this on here so you can see this. Yeah, that looks pretty good. You can see there's a whole bunch of cracks in this belt, okay? Let's say right there where my thumb was. If I look from the side, I can start to judge the depth of that belt. You can see where the belt's kind of shiny and then changes materials. That top shiny surface, you really don't want the crack going through that, or more than a third of the way through the belt. Any more than that, and I think it's time for a change. So we're going to inspect this belt right through. Looking for any bad spots, because just because it's not in one spot doesn't mean it won't be in another. And this one's not perfect. It has a lot of little cracking, but none of the cracks seem to protrude very far through the belt. Okay, so I think this one's something I would use again. But we also have to remember as technicians that belts are cheap. If you're gonna have something in your shop and you're gonna notice anything even slightly wrong with it, your bro will be best just to change it, okay? These things, they're wear parts, they need to be changed. So don't get worked up about changing a $30 or $40 belt, okay? While I've got the belt off, I'd like to check out all of these pulleys and make sure that they spin nice without making any noise, and that there's no looseness to them. Because if there's looseness to them, that means the bearings are probably gone. Now, the pulley in the tensioner and the pulley on the idlers, very, very common that they're worn out. And I don't know if you can pick that up on the video or not, but the alternator has a little bit of squeak to it, okay? If I can turn all the pulleys nice and smoothly and they don't have any looseness, then that gives me an indication if there's something wrong. If the customer had come in here and complained about a noise, we would be looking, that's kind of how we would find the noise, is take the belt off and spin the accessories and see how they feel. I'm going to route the belt via my picture now, and I'm going to start it around the crankshaft because that's the hardest one to get on. So I'm going to reach right in here and get that around the crankshaft. Then you can see by my shiny pulley on my water pump that's actually the belt of the back of the belt that drives the water pump in the opposite direction of everything else. So it's going to go around the water pump, and it's going to kind of go all the way around the water pump. Because it's using the back of the belt, it probably needs more contact area to do its driving than it would be if it was the grooves of the belt driving it. We've got it wrapped around the power steering pump now, the water pump, and the crankshaft pulley. Gonna come up over the alternator. I'm just looking at the picture while I do this. I don't have this memorized. And then over the tensioner. The last thing that needs to happen here is the belt does need to go underneath this idler. So to accomplish that, you should never park your wrenches too far away that you can't grab them, as I almost did there, but I'm good. I want to get this wrench on to give me as much motion as I can get here. Okay, I'm going to slip the belt underneath that idler, and then I'm just going to simply release the spring tension. Okay. All right. Now, just to double check your work, make sure that the belt is on each pulley properly. Important one down there at the crankshaft. Oh, look over here. You almost think I did this on purpose. Power steering belt is riding up there. Okay, I don't want to start it up right now because it could flip off, as my students usually flip me off when I tell them to do something for the second time. So I will just release the tension a little bit and then flip the belt back on. All right, yeah, that looks better. Fix all your mistakes, because hey, we make them. Okay, the belt should be straight. All those pulleys should be in line. Okay, this one looks good to go. I've done a little bit of work before starting here today. I took this air intake tube off, just 2 clamps, and then a plug for the mass airflow sensor. And I took the fan shroud off. I don't actually have to do these things, but it sure makes the job easier. And that maybe took me 2 minutes to do. And it'll take me 2 minutes to throw back together after this video is done. So that's how you change the drive belt on your vehicle. This happens to be a 2004 GMC truck with a 4.8 liter engine. Easy belt to change. And a lot of belts are going to have really bad access, and really it'll be a lot harder work, and you're going to be scraping knuckles and stuff to get it changed. But that gives you the general idea of how to do that job if you want to tackle that yourself.